It was a typical busy afternoon at the high-rise office building where Jack Harrison worked as a janitor. The bustling of executives and the sharp clack of high heels echoed through the hallways. Yet amidst the rush, something extraordinary was happening. Jack, a single father of one, was lost in his routine. The humdrum of sweeping the floors, cleaning windows, and making sure everything sparkled. But the fragile silence of the building shattered when he found her. Lily Carter. A young girl, no older than 8, sitting alone in the corner of the lobby, her tiny hands shaking as she clutched a stuffed bunny. Her face was streaked with tears, and the buzz of office chatter seemed to ignore her presence entirely. Jack, unaware of who she was, approached her quietly. "Hey there," he said gently, his voice steady, offering a smile. "What's the matter, kiddo?" Lily's eyes were wide with fear, but there was a softness in them that called for comfort. She didn't know how to answer, just a sob escaping her lips. As she glanced up at him with uncertainty, without thinking, Jack reached into his pocket, pulled out a bubble wand, and blew a perfect, shimmering bubble. It floated between them, momentarily lifting the heavy sadness in the room. What Jack didn't know was that Lily's mother, Olivia Carter, billionaire CEO of a tech empire, was watching the entire scene unfold from the elevator, her heart beginning to unravel at the sight. Jack Harrison had always been a quiet man, someone who worked in the background, making sure that everything in the office building was spotless, functioning, and in order. As a single father, he was used to being unnoticed, blending into the backdrop like the cleaning supplies he carried around. His daughter, Emma, was his world. Every morning, he made breakfast, helped with her homework, and tried to be the father she deserved, despite his modest means. But that afternoon, when he saw Lily Carter sitting alone in the corner, the world felt different. He had noticed her earlier, walking in with a well-dressed woman who was clearly in a hurry. He didn't think much of it then. But now, as the building buzzed with the usual chaos of people working late into the evening, Lily's silence called out to him. Jack didn't hesitate. His instincts, honed by years of raising his own daughter, kicked in. He crouched down beside her and gave her a gentle smile. "You okay, kiddo?" he asked, softly, his voice warm but cautious, not wanting to intrude. Lily wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, clearly embarrassed. I can't find my mom," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Jack could feel the vulnerability radiating off of her. "Don't worry. She'll be here soon," he said, offering comfort in the way he knew best by being present and calm. But Lily didn't seem reassured. She looked around the bustling lobby, her eyes scanning the crowd for any sign of her mother. Jack's gaze followed hers, noticing the way the other people seemed to ignore the young girl, wrapped up in their own affairs. It made his heart ache. He remembered the days when Emma had been small, and how he would do anything to protect her, even from the harshness of the world. But this wasn't his child, and yet, the instinct to protect was the same. He rummaged through his pockets, pulling out the bubble wand he'd kept with him for years, a silly little thing he used to calm Emma when she was younger. He blew the first bubble, and it floated between them like a tiny miracle. Lily's eyes, wide and uncertain, followed it as it danced in the air. She giggled softly, and Jack felt a momentary warmth in his chest. "I bet you can't pop it," he said, his voice playful. Lily's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. She reached up, her hand trembling as she tried to catch the bubble. The next few moments were a blur of bubbles, laughter, and Jack's simple, comforting presence. It wasn't much, but in that moment, it was everything. Olivia Carter had been watching from the shadows. As the CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the world, she was used to running things with an iron fist. She wasn't accustomed to standing idly by, especially in a place like this, where every moment was precious and every decision carried weight. But there she was, hidden in the corner by the elevator, watching the scene unfold in front of her. Her heart clenched as she saw Jack interact with her daughter. At first, Olivia had only been concerned with the late meeting she'd just finished, the paperwork waiting on her desk, and the calls she still needed to make. But when she stepped off the elevator and saw Lily sitting alone, her first instinct was to rush to her, to protect her from whatever had caused this sudden sadness. But before she could take a step, she froze, watching as Jack, a janitor, of all people, approached her daughter with the gentlest of gestures. He wasn't wearing a suit or carrying any sort of authority. He wasn't even an important figure in the building. And yet, here he was, comforting Lily with such ease, making her laugh with something as simple as a bubble. Olivia felt an unfamiliar ache in her chest. She had spent so many late nights working, missing moments like this one. She hadn't even noticed Lily was struggling, had no idea how alone her daughter must have felt when Olivia was absorbed in her work. Her heart ached, the pang of guilt almost unbearable. She had thought she was doing everything right by providing for Lily, by giving her the best of everything material. But now, standing there watching, Olivia realized she had failed her daughter in the one area that mattered most: emotional support. As Lily laughed, her small hand reaching for the bubbles, Olivia's mind raced. She wanted to go to her, to apologize, to explain herself. But she stayed frozen in place, watching the scene before her, feeling as if she were the one missing out. After what felt like an eternity, Lily finally looked up at Jack, her face brighter than before. She smiled, not just a small curve of the lips, but a full, genuine smile that made her eyes sparkle. "That was fun," she whispered, her voice lighter now, almost as if the weight of her earlier distress had lifted. Jack stood up slowly, brushing his pants off. "Glad I could make you laugh." He didn't know what to say next. He wasn't a therapist or a trained counselor. He was just a dad who understood the power of a smile and a bubble. But as he turned to walk away, he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. He looked up and saw Olivia standing there, her presence commanding, even in the softness of her gaze. "Lily," Olivia said, her voice warm but laced with a tinge of concern. "Where have you been? I've been looking for you everywhere." Lily ran toward her, her arms opening wide for a hug. "I was here, Mom," she said, her voice still a little shaky but filled with trust. "I was just playing with the nice man." Olivia looked at Jack, her eyes narrowing with curiosity. He could tell she wasn't sure what to make of him, this stranger who had just come to her daughter's rescue. She wasn't used to relying on anyone but herself. But as she gazed down at Lily, now calm and collected in her arms, a small, unspoken gratitude passed between them. Jack smiled faintly, nodding at Olivia. "I'm just here to help," he said quietly. "No big deal." But Olivia knew it was a big deal. It was a huge deal. She had missed these kinds of moments with her daughter. Moments that couldn't be bought or engineered by wealth. And here was Jack, a man who had nothing to offer but kindness, and yet had given her daughter something priceless. Over the next few days, Olivia found herself thinking about the encounter with Jack more than she cared to admit. She was a woman who had everything: money, power, influence, but now she realized she had been missing something more important than any of it: time. Time with her daughter. Time to be a mother. To give Lily the emotional support she needed. It wasn't that Olivia didn't love her daughter. She did. Deeply. But she had been so focused on her work, so absorbed in making sure Lily had the best of everything, that she had overlooked the one thing Lily really needed: the emotional connection that came from simply being present. Olivia decided to take a chance, to reach out to Jack. She didn't know where it would lead, but she had a feeling that this man, with his quiet kindness and simple wisdom, could help her become the mother Lily deserved. She called the building's office the next morning and arranged a meeting. Jack agreed to meet her for coffee at a nearby cafe, and when they did, Olivia knew that this wasn't just about Lily anymore. She wanted to learn from Jack, to understand how to be more present, how to build the connection with her daughter that she had lost along the way. In the weeks that followed, Olivia began to change. She made a conscious effort to spend more time with Lily, to listen to her, to be there when it mattered. She began to appreciate the simple things in life, the moments that couldn't be bought with money. And as for Jack, he became a steady presence in their lives, not as a romantic interest, but as a friend, a mentor. Someone who had shown Olivia the true meaning of family. Jack, Emma, Olivia, and Lily would never be the same again. Their connection, built on kindness and understanding, formed a bond that neither wealth nor status could break. It had been 2 weeks since Olivia's unexpected meeting with Jack. In those 2 weeks, Something had shifted in her world. She found herself asking for more time off from work, something she had never done before. She hadn't realized how much she had been neglecting the small, quiet moments with her daughter until Jack had gently reminded her. She was still a workaholic, still driven by the pressure of running a multi-million-dollar tech company. But now, she made sure to carve out time for Lily time to be a mother, not a CEO. The change was subtle but meaningful. Olivia noticed the way Lily's face lit up when she came home early from the office. She had missed that glow, the spark that came with simply being together. It was as if Lily was waiting for her mother to see her, to hear her. That evening, as Olivia and Lily sat on the couch, playing a board game in the quiet of their living room, Olivia couldn't help but think about Jack. She hadn't seen him since their coffee meeting, but the impression he had left on her lingered. There was a calm about him, a groundedness that Olivia realized she desperately needed in her life. He wasn't flashy or charismatic in the way most of her colleagues were. He didn't have the answers to all her questions, nor did he seem interested in impressing anyone. But there was something about the way he carried himself, the way he treated his daughter, that made Olivia think he might have a different kind of wisdom. Olivia's phone buzzed, interrupting her thoughts. She glanced at the screen, an email notification from the building's office manager. "Jack left something for you at the front desk," the message read. "He said to give it to you when you have a moment." Curious, Olivia excused herself from Lily and headed to the front desk of the building. As she walked through the sleek lobby, she spotted the office manager waiting by the elevator. The office manager handed her a small envelope with a handwritten note attached. "Thanks," Olivia said as she opened the note. It read, "Olivia, I thought this might be something Emma would enjoy. It's a little something I made for her. Take care. Jack." Inside the envelope was a beautifully crafted wooden puzzle. Olivia's fingers traced over the intricate details of the puzzle pieces. It was clear that Jack had made this himself, probably using scrap wood or old materials. A sense of warmth washed over her. It was simple, yet thoughtful. Just like him. The gesture was small, but it spoke volumes. It reminded Olivia that sometimes the best things in life didn't come from expensive gifts or grand gestures. They came from the heart. As Olivia made her way back to the apartment, she felt a shift inside her. Jack's kindness had sparked something inside her. Maybe it was time for her to stop chasing success at the expense of everything else. Maybe it was time to focus on what truly mattered: family, connection, and being present in the moment. The next morning, Olivia sat at the breakfast table, watching Lily eagerly assemble the wooden puzzle Jack had made. Emma was beside her, helping where she could, while Olivia simply observed the quiet bond between the two. It was then that Lily looked up, her face filled with curiosity. "Mom, how do you know Jack?" Olivia hesitated, unsure of how to answer. She could tell Lily was trying to understand the relationship between her mother and this stranger who had become so important to her. "Well, sweetie, Jack works at the building where I have my office. He was kind enough to help you when you needed it," Olivia said, her voice soft but firm. Lily nodded, her brows furrowing slightly. "I like him. He makes me laugh." Olivia felt a pang in her chest. She had spent so many years wrapped up in her career that she had never considered what Lily needed in terms of friendships, support, or simple kindness from other adults. She had relied solely on her position and wealth to make things right. But Jack had shown her that what Lily needed wasn't more money or lavish vacations. It was real, raw, human connection. Olivia felt herself breaking down, piece by piece. She had been so walled off for so long, building a fortress around her heart to protect herself from the vulnerability that came with motherhood. But in that moment, watching Lily puzzle together Jack's gift, she realized that walls weren't meant to keep people out. They were meant to shield her from the things she needed most. Later that afternoon, Olivia found herself dialing Jack's number. It was an impulse, but one that felt right. She hadn't expected it to be this difficult. She was used to being the one in control, the one who made the decisions. But with Jack, she felt different. She felt a sense of openness, a willingness to step into the unknown. "Hello?" Jack's voice came through the phone, calm and steady. "Hi, Jack. It's Olivia. I just wanted to thank you again for the puzzle. Lily loves it. You've really made her day. Jack chuckled softly. I'm glad she likes it. Emma had one similar when she was younger. I thought it might help her with her focus. You've really shown me something, Olivia continued, her voice tentative. I've been so caught up in everything, and it's hard to admit, but I've been missing the most important thing. Jack was silent for a moment before responding. I think we all miss things sometimes. You just have to be willing to notice when they're right in front of you. Olivia felt a lump in her throat, and for the first time in a long while, she felt vulnerable. But Jack's words were a lifeline, and she clung to them, as if he were pulling her out of the darkness. Maybe we could... Olivia started, then stopped herself. Maybe we could do something together. Like, with Lily. You, me, and the kids. Get to know each other better. The words felt strange coming out of her mouth. She wasn't used to being this open. But Jack had a way of breaking through her walls. Piece by piece. I'd like that, Jack replied. It's been a while since I've had a proper dinner with company. A week later, Olivia, Lily, Jack, and Emma met for dinner at a quiet restaurant near the building where Olivia worked. It wasn't an extravagant place, just a simple, cozy bistro with warm lighting and comfortable chairs. Jack arrived first, already seated, with a soft drink in hand. Olivia arrived shortly after, with Lily and Emma in tow. It was awkward at first. Olivia didn't quite know how to navigate this new dynamic. She wasn't used to hanging out with someone who wasn't part of her business network, and Jack, despite being warm and kind, felt like a stranger in her world. But as the evening wore on, things began to shift. The conversation flowed easily between Jack and Olivia, with Lily and Emma playing quietly in the corner, sharing stories from school. There was no talk of business, no mention of tech investments or corporate strategies. Instead, the conversation was simple, human about their lives, their children, their hopes. As Olivia laughed at one of Jack's jokes, she realized just how much she had been missing. This was what she had longed for, connection. Genuine connection. And for the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about the future, the next big project, or the next meeting. She was simply present. By the end of the evening, Olivia felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. She was no longer just a CEO or a mother caught in the crossfire of her career. She was a woman vulnerable, learning, and opening her heart to the possibility of change. The following weeks felt like a slow unraveling for Olivia. She had made strides in reconnecting with Lily, but the weight of her responsibilities as CEO still loomed over her. She found herself torn between the demands of work and the delicate balance of being present for her daughter. Each day she made more of an effort to be home in the evenings, to sit down with Lily at dinner, to hear about her day and play games instead of just retreating into her office. But every morning, her phone buzzed with messages that needed to be answered, decisions that needed to be made. The pull between her two worlds, the world of business and the world of motherhood, was unrelenting. Jack had been a steady presence in their lives, and while Olivia had appreciated his support, she couldn't deny the unease she sometimes felt. It wasn't just about his role in their lives as a friend. It was about the way he seemed so comfortable with simplicity, something that had always eluded her. The way he could sit with Lily and Emma, play games, talk about their days, and just to be. No hustle, no pressure. It was something Olivia admired, but it also made her feel small, like she had been doing it all wrong. One evening, as Olivia sat at her desk late into the night, responding to yet another endless string of emails, she heard a soft knock on her office door. "Come in," she said. Her voice hoarse from hours of speaking on calls. The door opened slightly, and there stood Jack, his usual easy smile lighting up the room. "Hey," he said quietly. "You look like you could use a break." Olivia glanced up at him, her eyes tired but grateful. "I just can't seem to get ahead. There's always something else waiting for me." Jack stepped inside, his hands in his pockets, his demeanor casual but sincere. "I get it. But sometimes you need to take a step back. You've been running yourself ragged." Olivia sighed, rubbing her temples. I know, but I can't afford to drop the ball. The company, the projects. If I don't keep pushing forward, everything could fall apart. Jack leaned against the doorframe, his gaze softening. And what about everything else? What about Lily? What about you? The question hit Olivia like a punch to the gut. She had been so caught up in everything else that she hadn't truly thought about what she needed. What was the point of all this success if it meant losing sight of the people she cared about? And what was the point of working herself to the bone if she couldn't enjoy the simple joys of life? I don't know anymore, Olivia admitted. Her voice, barely above a whisper. I thought that if I just kept working hard enough, everything would fall into place. But now, it just feels like I'm losing myself in all of this. Jack stepped forward, his expression sincere. You're not alone in this, Olivia. You don't have to do it all by yourself. You have people who care about you, and you deserve more than just the chaos of work. His words hung in the air. And for a moment, Olivia didn't know how to respond. She had been so used to the solitary, independent life of being a CEO that the idea of relying on others felt strange, almost foreign. Jack's voice softened. It's not just about making sure everything works on paper. It's about making sure you work, too. And that means taking care of yourself. Taking time to breathe. Olivia stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. She walked over to the window, staring out at the city lights twinkling below. It was a beautiful view, but it felt distant, detached. Like it didn't belong to her anymore. She had become so absorbed in the machine of her life that she had forgotten what it meant to truly live. She turned back to Jack, her eyes wide with realization. I don't know how to fix it, she said, her voice trembling. Jack smiled gently. It's not about fixing it. It's about finding a balance. A balance between who you are at work and who you are at home. Olivia felt a lump form in her throat. She had been so focused on building her empire, so driven by the need to prove herself in a male-dominated world, that she had neglected the very thing that had always grounded her, her family. The next morning, Olivia made an uncharacteristic decision. She called her assistant and canceled a critical meeting. For the first time in years, she decided to take a day for herself and her daughter. No emails, no calls, no business plans, just them. Olivia and Lily spent the day at a local park, surrounded by green trees and open fields. They had a picnic under the shade of a large oak tree, and Olivia watched as Lily ran around, her laughter filling the air. It was a simple day, one that, just a few months ago, Olivia would have never imagined herself taking. But as she watched Lily twirl in the grass, she realized just how much she had missed moments like this. Mom, look! I can do a cartwheel, Lily shouted, her arms flailing as she tried to do a clumsy flip in the air. Olivia smiled, her heart swelling with pride. You're getting better at that. Lily beamed, her eyes bright. You should try it. Without hesitation, Olivia stood up, laughing. All right, let's see if I can still pull it off. She attempted a cartwheel, stumbling a little, but Lily's giggles filled the air. It was a moment of pure joy. No deadlines, no meetings, just the two of them. Later, as they walked along the park's winding paths, Olivia couldn't help but think of Jack. He had been right. She had been so focused on the bigger picture that she had forgotten to look at what truly mattered. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, Olivia turned to Lily, who was holding her hand tightly. You know, I'm really glad we did this today. Lily nodded. Me too, Mom. It's nice to have you here. Olivia squeezed her daughter's hand, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She had spent so many years chasing success, but in the end, it was moments like these that made everything worthwhile. A few days later, Olivia and Lily were once again at the building. But this time, Olivia wasn't rushing through her tasks. She was taking her time, making sure to enjoy the little moments with her daughter. They had just finished a meeting, and Olivia was about to head to her office when she saw Jack standing by the lobby, looking as calm as ever. He was talking to a janitor, but his eyes met Olivia's as soon as she walked in. Hey there. Jack greeted her with a smile. How was the day off? Olivia couldn't help but smile back, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. It was exactly what I needed. Good, Jack said, his eyes soft. Sometimes, the world slows down when you let it. Olivia nodded, feeling the truth of his words settle deep within her. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. About balance. You were right. Jack gave her a knowing look. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. The simplicity of his words resonated with her. She had spent so much time in her own head, trying to control every outcome. But now, as she stood there, talking to Jack, someone who had no agenda, no power over her, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Freedom. I was thinking, Olivia said, her voice steady, about how we could all spend more time together. Maybe a day out, just the four of us. You, me, Lily, and Emma. No work, no stress. Jack's eyes softened, and he nodded. I'd like that. The weekend had arrived, and with it, Olivia's promise to herself and her daughter to step away from work. She had planned a simple day with Jack, Emma, and Lily. No business calls, no meetings. Just a day to enjoy the company of each other. The day started early, with the four of them meeting at a quaint cafe near the park. Olivia was nervous, though she wouldn't admit it to herself. The idea of spending an entire day with Jack, not in a work environment but as friends, maybe even something more, was foreign. She had spent so long building walls around herself, around her life, that this kind of spontaneity felt both exhilarating and terrifying. When Jack arrived with Emma in tow, he was as casual as always, wearing a simple hoodie and jeans, a far cry from Olivia's tailored suits. But there was something about the way he carried himself comfortable, genuine, that Olivia couldn't help but admire. Hey, Olivia. Ready for a fun day? Jack's voice was light, and his easy smile eased some of Olivia's anxiety. Lily jumped up, running to greet Emma. Let's play, she said enthusiastically, pulling Emma by the hand toward the swings. Olivia smiled at the sight of the girls, their energy contagious. She turned to Jack. I'm glad you're here, she said, her voice quieter than usual. I haven't done anything like this in years. Jack nodded, understanding more than she expected. I get it. But it's good, right? To step away for a bit. And just to be. 1162. End of 11 to 2 end. 11 to end. End of Pleasant 2. Olivia took a deep breath, watching as the two girls played together in the distance. She could feel the warmth of the sun on her face and the cool breeze that softened the air. It was simple, it was peaceful, and for the first time in a long while, it felt right. The day flowed effortlessly. The four of them walked through the park, stopping at various spots to chat and enjoy the surroundings. Jack, as always, was laid back, engaging with the girls in playful games. He showed Emma how to skip rocks on the lake, his laughter blending with hers, while Lily sat beside Olivia on the grass, talking about school and her friends. I made a new friend today, Lily said, looking up at her mother. Her name's Sophie. She's really good at drawing. That's wonderful, sweetheart, Olivia replied, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face. I'm so proud of you for making new friends. Lily smiled up at her mother, her eyes bright. I want to draw like Sophie. Do you think I can? Olivia chuckled. Of course you can. You have so much talent, Lily. You just need to keep practicing. As they continued to walk, the conversation turned to more personal topics. Jack, never one to shy away from deep conversations, asked Olivia what she had been learning about herself through all of this. You know, Olivia began, her voice thoughtful, I used to think I had it all figured out. My career, my life, it was all about control. About making sure things went the way I wanted them to. But lately, I've realized that maybe that's not enough. I've been so focused on what I could control that I forgot about what really matters. Jack listened intently, giving her the space to express herself. It sounds like you're finding balance, he said, his voice warm with understanding. That's the hardest part. Finding a way to manage everything and still keep your heart in the right place. Olivia nodded, her gaze shifting to Lily, who was playing with Emma near the fountain. The sight of her daughter, carefree and laughing, made her heart swell with both pride and regret. "I've missed so much time with her, Jack. I thought that by giving her everything I could, I was being a good mother. But I wasn't really there. Not in the way she needed me." Jack smiled softly, putting a hand on her shoulder. "You're here now, Olivia. That's what matters. You can't change the past, but you can change the future." Olivia felt a warmth spread through her chest. Jack's words were simple but powerful, and they resonated with her more than she expected. Maybe she couldn't fix everything, but she could make the choice to be present, to truly be here, for her daughter and for herself. As the afternoon drew to a close, they made their way to a small, cozy restaurant by the lake. The sunset cast a golden hue across the water, and the air felt light, filled with the sound of laughter and clinking glasses. Olivia couldn't remember the last time she had felt so at ease. They sat around a round table, the children discussing their favorite parts of the day. Lily excited about the rock-skipping contest, Emma talking about the ducks they'd spotted by the lake. The conversation was easy, comfortable. As they finished dinner, Jack looked over at Olivia, a slight grin on his face. "So, Olivia, what's next for you? More work or more play?" Olivia chuckled, taking a sip of her wine. She could feel the tension that had been in her shoulders all week melt away. "I think it's time for more play," she said. "I've been so caught up in work for so long that I forgot how to enjoy the little things." Jack raised an eyebrow. "I'm glad to hear that. Maybe we can make this a regular thing. Get the girls together more often. And just enjoy life." Olivia smiled, a sense of peace washing over her. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. She had found something far more valuable than any corporate deal or business venture. She had found the beauty of connection, of truly living in the moment, and it was something she never wanted to lose again. As the evening came to a close, Olivia and Jack walked together toward the car, with the girls chatting animatedly between them. The air was cool, and the night sky was dotted with stars, casting a gentle light over the quiet streets. Olivia glanced at Jack, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you, Jack. For today. For everything." Jack looked down at her, his smile warm and genuine. "It's been a pleasure, Olivia. Watching you find balance. It's inspiring." She smiled back at him, feeling a shift within herself. For the first time in years, she felt as if she were exactly where she needed to be, not chasing success or perfection, but simply living, truly living in the present with the people who mattered most. "Maybe we can continue this," Olivia said, her voice soft but determined. "Maybe we can make sure that the most important thing in our lives is the time we spend together." Jack nodded. "I think that sounds perfect." As they drove home, Olivia looked over at Lily, who was resting her head against the window, a peaceful smile on her face. She had so much to give, so much love to share. And now, she knew how to give it. Olivia stared out the window of her high-rise office, watching the city come to life as the sun began to set. The glass walls of the office were a reminder of everything she had built: success, wealth, a life that many people envied. Yet, something felt out of balance. It had been weeks since the day at the park with Jack and the girls, and Olivia could feel the pull between her two worlds: the corporate empire she had worked tirelessly to create, and the family life she had been neglecting for far too long. For the first time, Olivia acknowledged the strain in her heart, the pressure to keep up appearances, to maintain control. She had spent so many years chasing success, believing that it would fill the emptiness she sometimes felt. But now she realized it was the moments of connection, the people she loved, that truly mattered. She closed her laptop, pushed her chair back, and picked up her phone. There was a message from Jack. The evening came, and Olivia found herself at a small, cozy Italian restaurant with Jack, Emma, and Lily. She had been looking forward to this dinner, not just because it was a break from her usual routine, but because it felt like the beginning of something new. They had agreed to leave work at the door, and for once, Olivia didn't feel guilty about it. She had made her decision. Tonight was about family, about real connections. When Olivia arrived, Jack was already there with the girls. Lily ran toward her, grinning widely, showing off a small picture she had drawn for her. "Look, Mom, I made a picture of all of us," she said excitedly, handing Olivia the drawing. Olivia smiled, touched by the gesture. "That's beautiful, Lily." "I love it." "Me too," Emma added, her voice light with excitement. "It's a picture of our family." Jack stood back, watching the exchange with a quiet smile. His presence was calm, grounding, like a steady anchor in Olivia's once chaotic life. They sat down together, and the conversation flowed easily. They spoke about the girls' school activities, their favorite movies, and their plans for the summer. Olivia noticed how much lighter she felt, how much more present she was. No longer distracted by thoughts of deadlines or meetings, she was fully engaged in the here and now. At one point, Jack turned to her with a smile. "How have you been, Olivia?" His question was simple, but there was a softness in his voice that made her pause. Olivia looked at him, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. "Honestly, Jack, I've been adjusting. I've been trying to figure out what matters most to me, and for the first time in a long while, I'm not so sure it's all the work. It's not about climbing higher or chasing more. It's about being present, being here, with Lily, with Emma, with you." There was a quiet understanding between them. Jack nodded, his eyes gentle. "You're getting there. Sometimes, we get so caught up in everything we think we need, we forget about the things that really fill us up. Family, love, time." Olivia smiled, feeling something stir within her, something warm and real. "I think you're right. I've spent so many years thinking I had to do it all on my own. But now, I'm not so sure I want to." Jack's smile deepened. "You don't have to, Olivia. We all need people who are there for us." As dinner wound down, Olivia couldn't help but feel a shift within herself. She had spent so many years building her life around her career, around the idea of success. But tonight, as she sat with Jack, the girls laughing and talking excitedly across the table, she realized that what she had been searching for all this time was right here. It wasn't about titles or accolades. It was about the simple moments, the quiet connections that grounded her and made her feel truly alive. After they finished eating, they walked outside into the cool evening air. The girls, with their endless energy, ran ahead, chasing each other down the street. Olivia and Jack lingered behind, their footsteps falling in sync. "I've been thinking," Olivia began, her voice tentative but full of purpose. "Maybe it's time for me to step back, to really focus on what matters, on Lily, on family, on us." Jack stopped walking, turning to face her. "What do you mean?" Olivia met his gaze, her eyes filled with sincerity. "I've spent too many years defining myself by my job, by my success. But I've learned that there's more to life than that. I want to be there for Lily. I want to be here living in the moment with the people who matter most." Jack smiled softly, his expression full of warmth. "That sounds like a wonderful plan." As they walked back to their cars, Olivia felt a sense of peace settle in her chest. She wasn't sure what the future held. But for the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid. She was ready for whatever came next, knowing that she didn't have to face it alone. In the weeks that followed, Olivia's life took on a new rhythm. She scaled back her work hours, delegating more tasks to her trusted team. She spent more time with Lily, taking her to the park, attending her school events, and simply being there in ways she never had been before. Jack, too, became a more permanent fixture in their lives. He wasn't just a friend or a colleague. He became part of their family. The girls adored him, and Olivia began to appreciate the stability and calm he brought into their home. It wasn't love yet, at least not in the traditional sense, but there was something between them, something real, something steady. One evening, as they sat on the couch, the four of them watching a movie together, Olivia looked over at Jack. The familiar warmth spread through her chest, and she realized that this was the life she had always wanted, even if she hadn't known how to ask for it. She turned to him, her voice soft. "Thank you For everything. Jack smiled, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding. You don't need to thank me, Olivia. You've done the hard work. You've made the choice to change, to be here. And that's all that matters. And in that moment, Olivia understood the future wasn't about building bigger, more impressive things. It was about being present, about sharing love and time with the people who truly mattered. Months passed, and Olivia continued to grow both as a mother and as a person. She had learned the value of slowing down, of embracing the joy in the small moments. Her relationship with Jack blossomed, and they became not just a team in parenting, but something deeper, something more intimate. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Olivia and Jack took a walk together, the girls playing nearby. The warmth of the day felt like a promise, a fresh start. I think we found our balance, Olivia said, her voice filled with contentment. Jack nodded. We have, and we'll keep finding it. One day at a time. As they walked hand in hand, Olivia realized that this was the beginning of something beautiful, something built not on perfection, but on love, trust, and the willingness to embrace life, with all its messiness, together.